You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Look at the stars. The great kings of the past look down on us from those stars. So whenever you feel alone, just remember that those kings will always be there to guide you.
I don't think it is very useful to speculate on what God might or might not be able to do. Rather, we should examine what he actually does with the universe we live in.
We are all explorers, driven to know what's over the horizon. The most profound discoveries are not necessarily beyond that next star. They're within us, woven into the threads that bind us.
Hello, beautiful people. Happy Friday, happy Venus Day, and happy almost full moon. In today's episode, we're going to walk through the energy of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday leading up to that full moon in Aries, and we'll dive into what the full moon is bringing for each rising sign. So if you're joining me live, say hello. Let me know how the energy is currently feeling for you. And if you're finding this video later, I'll go ahead and add markers to the timeline so you can jump to whichever part of the forecast you are seeking guidance on, or maybe just jump to your full moon horoscope if that's what you are looking for. But either way, feel free to comment, join in, play along, and let me know how this full moon is feeling for you. Nikki is here. She says, enjoying her Friday afternoon in Montreal, drinking coffee, listening to my videos. So happy you're here, Nikki. Wonderful. Caught this just in time. Beautiful, beautiful. Aloha Friday from Rose. And Denise says, happy Friday as always. Venus Day, we're leaning into the beauty of it. And I feel like today's forecast, the perfect thing to start today's forecast with is the birthdays. And here's why. Today, October 7th, we have some notable birthdays. Vladimir Putin is a Libra, okay? And so is Simon Cowell. You can see some other Libras, Tony Braxton, some other notable Libras for October 7th. But I want to stop here and pause for a second, because you might be thinking, Libra is the sign of balance, of peace, of harmony. How could Vladimir Putin be a Libra, right? And I think this is a great opportunity to talk about the fact that we can't just identify someone's personality based on their sun sign, right? Like their entire personality. But also, Simon Cowell and Vladimir Putin both exemplify a trait of Libra that doesn't often get discussed. And when Libras are off balance, they can be very aggressive. So that's something to keep in mind. And that's a theme that's going to be coming up around this full moon in Aries as we're playing between the polarity of Aries and Libra. There is a very passive aggressive energy that comes along with this duality that we'll be talking about. So hopefully Vladimir Putin's celebrating his solar return. Hopefully he's in a good mood, because things have been a little tense on that side of the world, and it would just be nice if he could chill out, maybe find his balance, right? I think we would all appreciate that. Simon Cowell is just a great fun example of this, because, you know, he's very passive aggressive with his criticism on all the singing shows. And just for fun, we'll see October 8th, Bella Thorne, Bruno Mars are Libras, definitely exemplifying more of that Libra energy with Bruno Mars, that nice, seductive, suave, balanced energy. He has that nice mix of masculine and feminine, of course, talking about Bruno Mars. Matt Damon is a Libra, Nick Cannon, Sigourney Weaver. Wow, lots of October 8th Libras. And my beautiful mentor, Kat from Crystal Rising, is celebrating her solar return this Saturday. So I want to wish her a very special birthday as well. She's been a huge supporter along my journey, and I'm just so grateful for her. And to round out the weekend, we'll see who's celebrating their birthday on the full moon. Bella Hadid, definitely exemplifying that luxury Libra energy, very passive energy from Bella Hadid. John Lennon was also a Libra. Beautiful energy. Guillermo del Toro, Tyler James Williams, Sean Lennon. Interesting. I don't know if they're related. Somebody tell me, because I know he has a son named Julian, but I don't know about Sean Lennon. Really cool. Sharon Osbourne is also a Libra. Look at that. So there's a look at who will be celebrating. If you are a Libra, if you know someone celebrating a birthday, give them a shout out in the comments so we can celebrate them too. Nick is here. Rachel says, oof. Putin and Himmler, same birthday. Yeah, it looks like it. Looks like it. Probably some similarities there. I can kind of see Simon, like he gives those compliments when he's impressed. Yeah, right. He probably has some Virgo in his chart too, I would imagine. Hi, Diane. All right, enough of the birthdays. Let's get a check on the current energy. So, of course, as we've been talking about all these famous Libras, the sun is in Libra. The moon moves from Pisces to Aries this Saturday. So we're going to be talking through the progression of the moon from the last sign in the zodiac to the first sign in the zodiac. And not only will themes of passive aggressiveness probably come up in this live stream, but also healing is going to be a big cornerstone of all the transits that we're talking about today. So be prepared. We're going to be talking a lot about inner child healing and just our healing journeys in general. It really feels like everything leading up to this full moon is bringing healing to the forefront. And we end with the full moon conjunct Chiron, Chiron being the wounded healer. So it's a beautiful time to heal. It's always a beautiful time to heal, but the transits are supporting it. So we will start with our Friday forecast, jumping right into today's headline transit. The sun is opposing Chiron. Just talking about healing right away here. You can see on the chart here that red line in the middle, the sun at 14 degrees in Libra, Chiron at 14 degrees in Aries. Chiron moves very slowly. It's this icy outer body in our solar system. So Chiron's not a major planet, but we talk a lot about Chiron, especially in my astrological live streams and teachings, because I really think astrology is a beautiful modality for healing, and Chiron is that placement in our chart that represents our deepest wounds, our ability and our quest, if you will, to heal them. And then once we've healed them, our ability to share that healing with others. So as the sun opposes Chiron today, it's like Chiron is having its own full moon moment, if you will. And I mean that to say the full moon is when the sun opposes the moon. So with the sun opposing Chiron, Chiron is fully illuminated like a full moon would be. Hopefully that makes sense. And in that sense, our wounds are fully illuminated today as the sun opposes Chiron, really setting us up for this full moon conjunct Chiron. It's like this transit today is showing us maybe what wounds still need to be tended to. And Chiron in Aries, it's been there for a long time, and it's really been bringing up inner child healing. It's no secret over the past couple years we've been hearing and seeing on social media a lot about healing your inner child. How are you showing up for your inner child? All these things with Chiron and Aries. So today would be a really beautiful day to take your inner child out on a date, or just let him or her, let them come out to express themselves. And you might find that if you go to let your inner child express themselves, there's resistance there. Resistance has been a big theme we've all been playing with as well, with Saturn square Uranus, this long transit playing out in the background. And so if you're finding resistance to feeling expressed, feeling free, even finding balance between your inner child and your inner adult, that's where the healing potential is leading up to this full moon. And I will say, if there's a little wounding or triggering that comes up over the next couple of days, it's good to know that we're all especially sensitive, because A, the moon is in Pisces right now, which it makes us all more sensitive, and it's becoming fuller. And we all know around the full moon, there's a tendency for people to get a little crazy. Don't really love that word, but we're all feeling more emotional. The moon is fully illuminated. The moon represents our emotions. So during a full moon, we're all more emotional. And we might be a little more aggressive as the moon moves into Aries too, because, you know, Aries is ruled by Mars, the planet of aggression, the planet of war, and our emotions in that sense are illuminated. So coming back to this transit today and what we'll be feeling over the next couple of days, if you're feeling triggered, ask, ooh, is this showing a wound within me that maybe still needs to be tended to, still needs to be healed? And you know, there's that saying, the wound is the crack that lets the light in. I'm not saying it perfectly, but I think we've all heard that saying. But essentially, you know, when we're wounded, it can be like a crack in our heart, but that's the space that we need to tend to and focus in on, because that's where light can enter. So healing is not a linear process. It's a journey, and you might have a few triggers along that journey, but there is great potential for healing. Remember, an opposition is that push-pull energy, and let's talk about the potential of that. So the push, that magnetism, you know, the sun facing off against Chiron could really show us the triggers, the resistance. But there's also this potential for these energies to attract each other, and the Libra sun bringing that balance, that understanding, that cooperation could be exactly what we need for the healing process, as Chiron and Aries shows us where we're still wounded. So get ready for lots of healing. I will say the one shadow of this is to watch out for judgment, because Libra is the sign of the scales. It's the sign of judgment. And that's something that doesn't often get talked about with Libra energy. Something to keep in mind really all of Libra season is if you find yourself judging other people or being like, they're unbalanced, they're this, they're that, remember that that's a reflection of you. So you might look at your own wounds with judgment during this process. And again, it's a potential for you to see, where can I find more healing, right? So remember, healing is a journey, not a destination. And if you're finding judgment, if you're finding triggers, there are always opportunities to find deeper healing in those moments. And if you don't think you need to do any more healing, that's a wound in itself. Let me tell you, we can always be doing more. Nobody on this earth is perfectly healed. I promise you that. Promise you that. Diane says passive aggressiveness. Yes, family drama brought this to our door earlier today. Ooh, sending you love, sending you love. Need that healing. And I love that you said this, because it really plays into judgment, right? When there's family drama, especially, or I'm going to use you as an example, Diane, because I know a little bit about what's going on in your life. Not that I know your whole life, but it's really easy, especially with family members, to just be like, ugh, why can't they heal? Why can't they just do what we want them to do? You know, like, why can't they just be balanced human beings? And that's judgment, right? And that's showing us like, ooh, most likely, and I'm speaking from experience. I'm speaking from what I am currently experiencing in this moment. But I love that you brought this up, because it's really easy to be like, why can't our family just show up how we want them to? And in those moments of judgment, it's like, oh, there's a little child inside of me that's wounded from my family not showing up how I needed them to much of my life, right? And so remember that you are your own best healer. You're the only person who can give yourself exactly what you need. And my favorite thing to say about judgment is from Gabby Bernstein from her book, Judgment Detox. And when we're finding ourselves in judgment, saying, thank you for showing me what I don't want. So when family members are doing things that we want to judge, just be like, thank you for being the example of how I don't want to live my life. You are showing me something about myself. Is there anything triggering people with a Cancer sun today? Well, Chiron and Aries, and this Aries full moon is going to square Cancer placement. So yeah, that would be pretty triggering. And the sun in Libra is also squaring Cancer. So if you have a Cancer placement, especially in the middle of Cancer, your Cancer placements are forming a T-square to this Sun Chiron opposition. So yeah, in short, yes, there are things triggering the Cancers of the world. Katie says, I feel that resistance to let my inner child out for sure. I think I'll do some creative journaling on why and how to release those blocks. And I think one of the most beautiful things we can do, especially leading up to this Aries full moon, because Aries is the sign of the child, right? And Pisces too. You know, you talk about creative journaling, letting things flow through. That's going to be a big part of today and even tomorrow morning. So we'll get into what's going on with the moon in just a moment. But ask yourself too, what would make my inner child feel better? And yeah, that might be like a hug or some journaling or some reassurance, but it might also just be like going for a run around your block. Like, what did you like to do to release energy as a child? Do that around this full moon, or even just today. And that can be very healing in itself. Dance around, be silly, crack some funny jokes, you know, just be a goober. Like, that is full permission to be your inner child over the next couple days. The healthiest expression of your inner child. You might notice your inner child comes out in other ways too. Maybe your inner toddler, maybe you're throwing a little bit of tantrums. Again, when you find yourself in those places, maybe you're not judging other people, but you're kind of being the person that, or judging yourself. How can you be more kind to yourself? And what is your inner child asking for? Rachel says, really feeling this. This morning I got a triggering phone call from my mom. Oof, we've all been there. I was just there. Feeling that resistance because it's something that keeps coming up and I feel like I have to take care of her. Ooh, it's that Virgo energy, Rachel, always wanting to take care of other people, right? I deeply resonate with this today. And just know that your mom is on her own journey and you can't take care of her. You can't fix her. All you can do is love her and heal yourself and thank her for being the mirror that shows you what wounds you still need to heal. Unfortunately, many of us are, especially on these spiritual journeys, are at points where, I don't want to say, like, this sounds judgmental, like where we've surpassed our parents, but maybe we have different perspectives because we have done a lot more work on ourselves than our parents have. And that can be really triggering in itself. So just sending you a lot of love. Yeah, kind of like my inner child doesn't want to be the adult for her. Yes. Whew. Yes, yes, yes. I feel that. And it doesn't have to. Let yourself be the child. Let yourself be the inner child, even if that means just like taking a break from her for a little bit and just doing what you need to do to make your inner child feel safe. Sending love, Rachel. Parent-child relationships can be tough. I'm reading a good book, Self-Care for the Adult Child of Emotionally Immature Parents. Ooh, I have heard of this book, and I think that's a note for me to maybe pick up that book too. Thanks for that recommendation, Katie. I love that we have this safe space with each other to talk about inner child healing because it really can be, it's a lot. It's a lot. And Chiron and Aries has been bringing up inner child healing for a lot of us for a long time. It's not an easy journey to walk, but your inner child deserves to be seen in the way that he or she wants to be seen. Yes, we can always be doing more to improve ourselves, and we can always be doing more to make our inner child feel safer, right? To make our truest expression of ourselves feel safer coming out. I'm holding space for the person in our lives that created drama this morning. We realize they have a lot of healing themselves, and I think your advice to be on your own, healing and supporting yourself, I will hold on to this as we work through the issue. Yeah, great to know the trigger on their Cancer sign may be some of the cause. Easier to understand how it happened. And that's so beautiful. Yes, taking deep breaths, navigating. And she says, thanks for the book advice. I just noticed this with my partner recently too, and it was such a proud moment because we all have family drama, right? We all have stuff with our family. I don't think anybody has a perfect family. And he recently went home to see his family. And of course, that always brings up triggers of some sort. And he made this comment just over text to me, like, I can tell they're really hurting. And I was like, oh, I'm so proud, because the awareness to, instead of going into that like triggered mode, like, why are they like this? And be like, oh, I can see as an observer of their emotions that they're hurting. Oh, that is juicy. Like, yes, yes. And that shows that you are healing, that you are able to observe someone else's emotions without taking them on. So proud of you for that awareness. Yeah, Rachel's going to get the book too. Just trying to work through a lot of what happened these past couple of years. Aren't we all, Rachel? Aren't we all? Okay, well, speaking of emotions, let's talk about the moon. So if you're feeling a little sensitive, and it sounds like some of us are, the waxing gibbous moon is in Pisces right now. And we talked about the moon in Pisces yesterday, but remember, the moon in Pisces heightens our sensitivities. It can be this like overwhelming emotion that comes through, especially as the moon is getting fuller and fuller in Pisces. So we're more attuned to other people's energy now, as many of us have been talking about how we experience the energy of family members and friends and the emotions of people around us. Because remember, the waxing gibbous phase is a time to make adjustments to kind of prepare for that full moon. What do we need to do? What do we need to tweak a little bit so we can be in full flow when the moon is full? But the energy and the emotions of people around us can actually inform us of the adjustments we need to make to have a more balanced experience this Libra season. So I love that you are all so vulnerable in the chat, because it makes it a lot easier to talk about the transits. But even like what happened with Diane this morning with a family member, it sounds like getting really triggered or showing up or being dramatic, or, you know, whatever you want to call it. I don't know the exact situation, but how can their emotions inform what adjustments you can make for your own emotional well-being? Might be time to set some boundaries, as we talked about yesterday. And the boundary could just be taking space and being like, I need to create a little safe temple for this full moon for my inner child, so I don't feel like I have to take care of other people. But it's great to know that we are more attuned to other people's emotions. We're going to quickly talk through the moon's transits because we have a lot to talk about. So I'm going to give you kind of an overview of the emotional landscape of each day. So we started the morning with the moon making supportive connections to the north and south nodes, 6 a.m. Pacific time, 9 a.m. Eastern time. And I see that just as a reminder with this Pisces moon to flow with the direction that's unfolding, flow with the path of least resistance, trust. Pisces energy is all about trust in destiny. The north and south nodes represent destiny and astrology. So this supportive connection just gives us that reminder today. Trust in whatever is supposed to come. Trust in the next steps you're taking. They're going to lead you along the path that you're supposed to walk. It's all good, is what I hear for the moon connecting with the north and south nodes. 1 p.m. So what you're seeing on the chart right now, the moon forms a sextile to Uranus. And this is really setting the stage for a fun Friday night, if you ask me. So you can see on the chart here, the moon is at 17 degrees, Uranus at 18 degrees. That dark blue line represents support between the Pisces moon and Uranus. Our intuition is heightened when we have a connection of the moon and Uranus, especially in these two signs. And the moon in Pisces heightens our intuition pretty much always. But you might even surprise yourself leaning into a little bit more spontaneity, or if something feels like it's an opportunity is opening up for you, following that can lead to an exciting Friday night or a chance encounter or a thrilling opportunity. So by the afternoon, there's kind of this energy of excitement bubbling up. And if you're looking for fun, it will be easy to find those chance encounters or opportunities thanks to Uranus today. I don't see, Uranus is the planet of disruption, but I see this as a positive disruption with this nice supportive 60-degree angle. Like, especially a lot of us have been feeling the sun opposing Chiron triggers. I would say lean into anything that seems like fun and freeing. Uranus is the planet of freedom and rebellion. So how can you kind of take a break from the normalcy of your life and do something different? That can be a great platform for your inner child to come out to play too. Shortly after that, you'll see on the chart, the moon harmonizes with Lilith. Okay, and I don't know if this chart will actually show us that. Oh yeah, it will. Okay, so 19 degrees. You can see Lilith in Cancer. And for Diane, who was asking about Cancer placements, if Lilith is on top of any of their planets, 19 degrees Cancer, that can make for a little bit of hostility too. So it is nice knowing, okay, they're going through something, right? But the moon harmonizing with Lilith shortly after it makes this connection to Uranus is really helping us tap into our inner power and kind of setting the stage for us to light that inner fire of the Aries full moon. So it's the perfect day to reconnect our mind and our body. With the moon in ethereal Pisces, it's easy to kind of get lost in a fantasy, lost in the clouds, but Lilith in Cancer brings us back down into this body, into our emotional body in a lot of ways too, like how we're carrying emotions in our body. So listening to whatever signals your body is sending you. Is it hungry? Almost think of your body as part of your inner child, right? Like, what does your body need? How can you take care of her or him? And listening to the signals your body is sending can also show you anything you've been ignoring or repressing. Remember, Lilith is all about what's being suppressed, and if we don't listen to it, it will likely rise up and be pretty aggressive. So really be attuned to what your body is asking for so you don't get hangry or overly emotional. That's definitely a possibility with the moon harmonizing with Lilith. And then the last connection the moon makes tonight, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. We'll jump ahead here so you can see it. And my regulars can probably tell what's coming if you follow what's going on with the moon getting closer and closer to Neptune. And there it is. That conjunction begins. The moon conjunct Neptune at the same time squaring Mars. Okay, so Friday night, let's talk about it really quickly. This Friday night, there is definitely still this feeling of intuitive hits with the moon conjunct Neptune in Pisces. Our senses are heightened. Our energy field is like wide open, which is why it's really important to have boundaries and awareness of who else's energy we're surrounding ourselves with or taking on. We're really attuned to even the subtlest energies, and that can be triggering, right? Because the moon is also square Mars. So we're more reactive, we're more aggressive, we're more likely to make a quick move or a quick change. And so the slightest upset could lead to like a full-blown emotional meltdown. We're not manifesting that. We're aware of the energy. It's nice to know that that's happening tonight. And I don't think this is a time you need to like shut yourself in so you don't blow up on people, right? Unless that's really what you're feeling you need. But I think with the moon squaring Mars, moving our body, letting energy flow through us can be a really helpful and even healing way to navigate the current energy and to really prepare us for this Aries full moon. So tapping into the compassion for ourselves, tapping into the compassion for other people with the moon conjunct Neptune, and really, really honing in on flow this Friday night. So what I heard when I was typing out the forecast was like, if you're in flow, even physically moving your body with the moon square Mars, there is this tension that likely wants to be released. So like literally letting it flow through you, maybe through yoga or dance or even just a walk. Allow that tension that arises today to move through you without letting it get stuck in your field. Like literally, this is very Pisces moon. Picture your auric field around you, right? Picture this nice, clean auric field. There's nothing in your field, just light, right? And as tension comes in, it might want to get stuck and attach or pull on the energy or shrink your field, whatever that looks like in your mind's eye. Instead of letting it get stuck in this aura, let it flow through you. Let it release into the earth, release it into water, maybe swim under the Pisces moon, maybe take a shower, let it flow through you. Keep your aura nice and bright and cleansed. I'm getting super woo-woo now, but allow tension to just flow through you and not get stuck, because that's where trauma comes in. That's where dis-ease comes in, when we let things get stuck in our field. And today's a day we could also even just clear our field through movement. And we're all going to be more attuned to the energies that are stuck on us with the moon conjunct Neptune. I have that relationship with my parents. Great people, just in the box. I'm an artist, black sheep of the family. I love them much different. And you aren't here to be like them if you're the black sheep, right? You're here to be the black sheep that signals there's a way to do things differently, and I'm going to be the one to show you, which is a very beautiful role. Not the easiest role, but a beautiful role to play. I love my water moons, but gosh, it's a lot. We're almost to a fire moon. Don't worry. Don't worry. Yes, proud of your partner for that. Thank you. Thank you. There is a huge shift for men right now. Yeah, the rise of the divine masculine. It's the feminine rises first, then the masculine. So all of us women here doing the work, we are leading the way for our sons, for our partners, for our fathers, even to rise as well. And that's not to say women are superior to men. We're not even talking about women and men. We're just talking about divine feminine energy, which mostly women embody, and divine masculine energy, which men tend to embody more. But it's all yin and yang. We all have both. And the divine masculine's time is coming. Individually and collectively. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, I hope this transit tonight gives me that push to finish the logo. I've been procrastinating. It is a beautiful night for creativity, right? And kind of that restlessness, using creativity as a form of flow, like we just talked about, can be a really beautiful way to tap in. Like a dam letting off some overflow. Absolutely. If it feels like a lot coming into your field, like let it just wash right off of you. Yes. The whole move and work out the energy thing. Absolutely. Like let it just flow out of you. I don't know about the NHL hockey big investigation. I think that's a Canada thing. I'll have to look into it, Nikki. Okay, so that's Friday. Now let's move on to what's going on Saturday, because like I said, we got a lot to talk about today. Pluto stationing direct. Pluto stations direct. Let me tell you the exact time. I think it's overnight. It is, oh, no, just kidding. The afternoon, 2:55 p.m. Pacific time. So about 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern time, Pluto stations direct. But because Pluto moves so slowly, the slowest planet in our solar system, Pluto's just been hanging out at 26 degrees for what seems like forever. So Pluto's been at that pause moment where it's changing directions for quite some time. And this isn't probably going to be a major shift that we feel as Pluto stations direct because it's such a slow energy. But it is a moment, as we've been talking about healing so much, to review how much we have transformed, how much we have evolved. And that's really what Pluto's retrograde has been about over the past 5 months since Pluto stationed retrograde on April 29th. It's been this kind of long review and almost editing of our transformation during the retrograde. So on a personal level, Pluto's retrograde offered this sort of opportunity to reconsider subconscious beliefs. Maybe that's something that's been coming up for you a lot over the past few months. I know it has been for me. But now, as Pluto is getting ready to start moving forward again, it's the time in this death and rebirth cycle to take everything you learned as you've done that review and start to move forward with it. Start to continue forward on your transformation. During Pluto's retrograde, we got a good look at what's been lurking in the shadows, what's been lurking in the darkness. Now is the time to keep stepping forward into the light as Pluto stations direct. Continue our evolution, continue that forward motion of our transformation. So, like I said, it's not a major energy or shift we will likely feel, but it does seem really beautiful, and nothing is coincidence, right? That Pluto stationing direct right before this full moon, conjunct Chiron, with all of this Chiron activation. It's really like, okay, how do you want to transform? How do you want to move forward? What are you alchemizing right now? And the Aries full moon can be that fresh start in a lot of ways of like, okay, we're transforming, we're moving forward, let's go. That's the Aries energy. And Pluto stationing direct can also just help us tap back into our power, remember our power. Pluto is that powerhouse energy of that sacral power that is deep within us, our ability to transform, our ability to birth and create and die and be reborn again. So this full moon does really feel like a rebirth in a lot of ways, with it being in the first sign of the zodiac, with Pluto now direct, bringing this rebirth energy. And there's a lot of healing in rebirth too, as much as we've been talking about Chiron. So I feel like Pluto stationing direct is just giving us a little push forward, like, keep going, girl, keep going on that transformation, keep evolving. You got this. You can continually rebirth yourself. Times are changing. Ooh, I got to look into this now. Creativity. Hopefully tomorrow is a good day for selling creativity. This local cryptid festival. I'll be vending some art I've made in past few months. Hopefully it's a good day for it. I think it's a great day for it. The moon will still be in Pisces tomorrow morning, and I think you're going to have a lot of success. I'm envisioning you having a beautiful event, a beautiful time bending, and meeting lots of amazing people. Pluto's like, hey, I support you. You got this. Yes, Pluto loves our inner child. I'm ready, though, for it to move forward. That trine to my ascendant. And it's going to hang out at 26 degrees for a while. Pluto's not budging for a while. So it's important to know that it's not like it's all of a sudden going to speed up. You know, it takes 250 years for Pluto to go around the sun. So you can imagine how long it spends in one house. It's years, right? Or one sign. So be patient, but know that Pluto is on your side. Okay. Oh, and look at everybody's feeling the creativity. Pluto's really great for creativity too. Like, I mean, it's an alchemist. You're literally taking materials and creating something, rebirthing them into something else. So yeah, let's talk about the moon on Saturday. The moon spends the morning in Pisces, making a couple different connections. First, 3 a.m. or 6 a.m. Eastern time. So for most of us, we're waking up feeling this energy. The moon forms a sextile to Pluto. As much as we've just been talking about Pluto stationing direct, it's like the moon needs to get one last little connection to Pluto before Pluto officially switches directions. So here's what that looks like. Let me pull up the chart. You can see it here. The moon and Pluto forming that nice 60-degree angle to each other. Again, just bringing an emotional awareness to our transformation. Most of us will likely be asleep or just kind of waking up during this energy, but the Pisces moon connecting with Pluto like this is, again, really intuitive. Like the next 24 hours feel very intuitive, like our intuition is very much heightened. And so when the moon connects with Pluto overnight, it could just be this emotional awareness about the subconscious. These are two very subconscious energies working with each other. So it might even be that you have this realization of how much subconsciously has transformed. It's not really the physical we're talking about, although the physical is always transforming around us. But what internally has transformed over the past 6 months? Or what have you become more aware of that needs to transform over the past 6 months? You might even be getting like a little sentimental about it as you wake up tomorrow morning or go to bed late tonight, because, you know, the Pisces moon can make for some tears, make us a little more sentimental. And so I love that the moon makes one final connection to Pluto before it stations direct. Just like, it just feels like a pat on the back. Like, you're transforming, you're evolving, just trust in the transformation. And then the final connection the Pisces moon makes is right after that. And you can see it on our chart. The moon at 27 degrees. I don't know why I said right after that. This will be at about, here it is, 5 a.m. Pacific time. And what is that? 8 a.m. Eastern time. The moon is going to oppose Mercury. So this is more what we'll be feeling as we wake up on Saturday morning. It's like our feelings, the Pisces moon, are opposing our mind, Mercury in Virgo. Very analytical versus very emotional. And it could feel like swinging from one to the other. Surges of emotion between surges of like logic and like, okay, we understand why this is happening, you know? And then it's like, why is this happening? Like, I'm feeling all the feelings. Oh, okay, I understand why this is happening. So you might be feeling pulled between the two. Ride those waves. Flow with the waves. We have to have the emotion to understand what the emotion is telling us. Both are important. So that's where that opposition, that make or break energy comes into play, where the moon is showing us what we need to know with Mercury. It's like they're working together, but they can also feel like they're facing off against each other, because it's like, I'm emotional, I'm logical, I'm emotional, I'm logical. It won't be long that we feel this energy, but just know if you're feeling like a little bit pulled between those two parts of yourselves, your emotion and your brain, ride the waves and observe what data you're collecting about yourself and about your emotions along the way. Mercury in Virgo is very analytical, so everything is data. Our emotions are data. How can you digest it and use it, file it away in your brain, so the next time you feel that emotion, you're like, oh, that might be coming from this place because I already have been here before, right? Then Oh, Katie, you're so sweet. Thank you so much for the super chat. My husband has Mars in Aries. Curious what this full moon means for him. I would say it means renewed motivation for him. And actually, this is the perfect time to talk about it because we're going into the moon moving into Aries at about 9 a.m. Pacific time, noon Eastern time on Saturday. So every time the moon is in Aries for your husband, his Mars gets activated. He probably feels this surge of energy or like a renewed motivation. Like I said, like, oh, I just want to go do it. I just want to get after it, you know? So I would see on Saturday and Sunday probably this really big push of motivation for him. And Mars, of course, is the planet associated with masculine energy. So I could see him being like really in his masculine, like really wanting to take action and do things and put himself out there and kind of, I don't want to say exert himself, but that's the energy I'm feeling. Like I could see him just really wanting to like get after it and not even think things through, like just kind of, I'm going to go do this, you know? So doing feels like a big thing for him right now. And I know you've told me you guys are in the middle of launching a business. So I think whatever he's feeling desire for or motivation behind just doing it is going to feel really natural for him. And it's a beautiful time to have your Mars in Aries. Other times it can be a little bit impulsive, right? He might be a little impulsive with Mars in Aries, but with this full moon in Aries, it's also just illuminating his motivations and what he really wants, what his true desires are, and giving him that surge of energy to go after those desires. So hopefully that resonates with him. And we'll see over the next couple days, but I have a feeling he'll be really like jazzed, or gosh, I sound like an old person, like stoked on whatever he's feeling passionate about, and just renewed passion in general. With a Mars, it's not a Mars return, but with the moon conjunct his Mars, there's definitely passion there to tap into. So for all of us, oh yes, love that for him. Very reassuring. Yes, he's definitely guided with this full moon, and everything is happening right on time for him, for sure. Okay, so the moon moves into Aries, like I said, 9 a.m. Pacific time, noon Eastern time on Saturday. And remember, Aries is a fire sign. It's the first sign of the zodiac. All of us, as the moon becomes full in Aries, are going to start feeling that inner spark light up, right? And even a fresh surge of energy for all of us. It's like a new beginning, that rebirth we just talked about. We have the opportunity as the moon gets fuller, as we make our way towards that full moon, to really tap into our own desires, tap into our motivation, as we just talked about with Katie's husband, but also ask ourselves, are we giving our power away, and where are we giving it to, and how do we reclaim it? Okay, because Aries energy is all about our power, our motivation, our drive, and where are we spending our energy? As the moon becomes full, we have this final moment on Saturday to make adjustments to where we're giving our energy to, where we're giving our power to. And the only other connection the Aries moon makes on Saturday is a conjunction to Jupiter. I love this personally. We love a Jupiter conjunction. Let me jump ahead like 6 hours here, and you can see what that looks like. Okay, so very close, but the moon and Jupiter together in Aries. This is that let's just do it energy on Saturday. Very spontaneous, very impulsive, but also like this blind faith. Like it's all going to work out. Let's just do it on Saturday. That's a fun energy to be in, right? It's like the ultimate rose glasses optimist energy, and Jupiter and Aries all this time has very much been that just do it energy. But we get more motivation, more excitement. We might even feel adventurous on Saturday afternoon, maybe even Saturday night. We're like, we have a lot of energy with Jupiter conjunct the Aries moon, and we want to expand. We want to explore. We want to have fun. What would help you expand? Lean into that under the Aries moon conjunct Jupiter. In general, I just feel like it's going to be good vibes on Saturday afternoon. All the emotion that we felt with the Pisces moon, with these Chiron activations, at least on Saturday afternoon, we get this little window pretty much all day after the moon moves into Aries of just like it's all good. It's all going to work out. The vibes are high. It's great. So we will take that. We will definitely take it. This is the energy. Jazzed. He probably missed the part where I gave him all these compliments, but that's fine. That's the energy of the moon conjunct Jupiter, like getting jazzed about things for sure. Now let's finally move on to our full moon forecast. The full moon in Aries at 16 degrees. The full moon will be exact at right before 2 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday. So Sunday's a really great night to do your full moon rituals if that's what you're into. And I will say this full moon is a good time to do any sort of crystal charging, moon water, if you're into all that witchy stuff, because the next full moon will be an eclipse and the next new moon will be an eclipse too, I believe. So we're about to enter eclipse season, and this is kind of your last chance to do stuff with the moon for a little bit, if that's what you believe in. I never tell you what to do or what to believe, but a lot of astrologers, a lot of mystical people say it's not a great idea to make moon water or charge crystals under the light of an eclipse because the light isn't pure, it's blocked. And it reveals our shadows in a lot of ways. And when you're charging things like water and crystals, you're infusing the light of the moon into those things. And you don't want the light to represent shadows. You want it to represent light, right? So that's my little aside, my little caveat. If you're going to do your moon work, do it on this full moon. Let's talk about the energy of the Aries full moon. It really, in a sense, marks the halfway point of the astrological year because Aries season, the Aries new moon, is that first new moon of the astrological year. So this is a culmination point of the past 6 months, really a halfway mark. Aries, being the first sign of the zodiac, rules the self. It's often associated with the ego, but it's the mantra of Aries is I am. Who are you? What's your purpose? What's your motivation? What are you here to do? So really wanting to look at giving yourself credit of the culmination of who you've become over the past 6 months. I love that we've talked a lot about Pluto too, and this transformative energy, our continual evolution, because the Aries full moon is a great opportunity to just acknowledge who you are now, acknowledge how yourself has evolved. And I will say at the same time, check your ego. It's, our ego can be a little inflated under a full moon in Aries, but tapping into like, who am I? What do I really want? What are my true desires? Can light the path to further step into your purpose. So this really feels like a celebration of self in a lot of ways and a celebration of our inner child, because remember, Aries is the sign of the child. So our inner child wants to come out to play and have fun. And it's that internal energy. Kids have all the energy, right? So the Aries full moon is a really beautiful time to let your inner child be expressed. And remember, when we're talking about a full moon, we're talking about an opposition between the moon and the sun. In fact, let me pull up the full moon chart here so you can see exactly what that looks like. Here we go. Jump ahead a few more hours. Okay, there it is. Let me show you. So we're really feeling that polarity here between the sun in Libra and Venus very close by, right? So technically a conjunction between the sun and Venus. We'll be feeling that a little bit more as the days go on. And then the moon conjunct Chiron. This is that full moon moment where we're feeling the duality between wanting balance and beauty and harmony and kind of keeping things more surface level and just nice and pleasing. And then the Aries moon is that inner fire within us that's like, I'm not here to please everybody. I'm here to be expressed. I'm here to step into my purpose, to make a difference, to push forward, to ruffle some feathers, and to be my wild child inner self. That's Aries full moon energy is definitely some wild child energy. So a beautiful day and a beautiful weekend to let that inner child out to play. I think it's really cool too that we have this opposition that we can look at with the full moon between Aries, the sign of the self, and Libra, the sign of partnerships, because it's asking us, how can our energy, our purpose also benefit others? How can we work with other people to have our purpose fully realized and to let their purpose be fully realized as well? That's not to say we're giving anything away in the process, but Libra season shows us how partnerships can really, positive partnerships, productive partnerships, mutually beneficial partnerships can allow us the space to be free in our own expression and to further step into our purpose, to really give us the confidence to do that. Sometimes all we need is to be witnessed by someone else to be like, oh yeah, that is what I'm here to do, you know? And I will say as well, this is known as the blood moon. I like to bring in the pagan ties, if you will, because our ancestors, this was the time of year that they started hunting, or hunting was really big this time of year. It was also known as the hunter's moon. So it's a nice way to tap into that external energy, that warrior energy that Aries brings, that hunter energy of like going out and getting what it is that you're here to get. Finding that motivation and that desire to go after your true desires. What do you really want? And go after it with that like hunter mentality, you know, of the blood moon. Like, I am here to be a warrior and to go get what I want, and to almost be a warrior for your purpose here. You did not come here to be like, oh, I think that's my purpose, so hopefully it works out for me. We'll just like let it happen. As much as we say to flow and let things unfold, yes, but there does have to be that motivation and that drive and that desire deep within for things to flow. So finding that warrior energy, like, what am I willing to fight for? What am I willing to go after? That's what this full moon is asking for us to light that inner fire of our inner warrior. Moving your body, I always say under the Aries full moon, but there is a lot of tension and triggers that could come up around this full moon. So moving your body is a really great asset. And let's talk about the different aspects this full moon is making. So we wake up on Sunday morning, 6 a.m. Pacific time, 9 a.m. Eastern time, and the moon will be opposing Venus before it comes full. When the moon opposes Venus, we're needy. We need to feel pleasure. We want to feel good. And that can put us in a little bit of a, I would say, like, watch out for that inner toddler coming out being like, oh, I just need love, you know, because that's definitely a tendency when the moon opposes Venus for us to be a little bit needy. Is just the best way to look for it. We want affection. We want a quick fix to feel good in a lot of ways. So when the moon opposes Venus, we always say, like, first thing Sunday morning, you might want to have that donut, or reach for something to feel good, that quick fix, or buy the thing online, go shopping. It's that need for pleasure, that almost overwhelming need that we just feel like we have to grasp onto. And remember, it's a full moon, so everybody's emotions are heightened. Everybody's feeling a little bit more needy on Sunday morning. So really slow down. It's the Aries moon. We're all like, yeah, let's just go for it. Try to slow down and be intentional about the actions you're taking. And as we make our way towards that conjunction between the moon and Chiron just before the full moon, it's an opportunity when we're feeling that need, when we're feeling that grasping at something to feel good. What is that showing us that needs to be healed? Always an opportunity for healing, right? But this full moon conjunct Chiron is highlighting our healing in a huge way. It's easy to get triggered on Sunday with the moon conjunct Chiron. There's just no way around that. So give yourself grace, give a lot of other people grace, move your body, let any tension flow through you, right? And if aggression arises, ask, what wound is this revealing in me, or what wound is this revealing in someone else? And I don't have to fix it. I don't have to take it on. I can just acknowledge and witness, as we talked about. Oh, that's their wounding, right? Wounding is going to be very clear under this full moon. What actions can you take with the moon in Aries, the sign of action, to propel your healing, to move forward? What are you ready to release? Once the moon is full, we enter the releasing phase. So there is a lot of potential of releasing wounding, releasing old stories, and taking action towards your healing. And all of that can be happening at the same time, right? but we just want to be aware of triggers in the process and not projecting our healing onto other people, or projecting our wounding onto other people, I should say. And with that needy energy of the moon opposing Venus at the same time, if we're feeling triggered, if we're feeling wounded, it's really easy to be like, oh, fix it. Somebody else needs to fix it. I feel this need for someone else to save me, right? And you're the only one who can save yourself. You're the only one who can heal yourself. So just come back to yourself under the Aries moon in the sign of self. Those are the two main energies we'll feel around this full moon, but Sunday evening does bring a few other connections. So I want to chat about those before we go into what the full moon means for each sign. Okay, so the moon forms a sextile to Saturn, 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time, really helping us slow down a little bit. Saturn is very slow, so Saturn in this case is helping us to be more grounded, be more responsible, kind of look to the week ahead and start to wind down a little bit. Can bring up some worries and doubts, but in a general sense, I feel like Saturn is coming in as our inner parent to be like, okay, your inner child had a field day with this Aries full moon, but remember, you also have an inner parent in here to give yourself what you need, take care of yourself, to make sure that you're moving forward in a sustainable and productive way. And it can also make us a little bit more patient. Saturn can bring in some patience under this impulsive, aggressive Aries full moon and help us come back to the present moment. I will say, at the same time, the moon forms a sextile to Saturn. Shortly after, and I'll show you what this looks like, it's going to form a square to Lilith. So there's the sextile to Saturn, and you can see the square to Lilith coming into play here. So again, it's just that triggered energy. It's that if we're feeling like we're being ignored, or our feelings are repressed, or even if we're feeling worried in some way and we're not acknowledging that worry, it can provoke hostility or this need for that thing we're feeling that we're repressing to rise up and like kind of revolt and be like, hey, pay attention to me. That's the moon squaring Lilith. So as a general theme, over the next few days, just acknowledging emotions when they come up and asking where they're coming from. That's the best advice I can give for this Aries full moon. It's really easy to want to rush past things or just push forward or keep going. But the best thing we can do is slow down and be in the present moment and be like, oh, this emotion feels big. What's it showing me? Oh, that person's emotion is really big right now. What's that showing me about them? No judgment, just witnessing, right? And then the very last transit we'll talk about in the live stream is the moon forming a sextile to Mars. This happens at midnight Pacific time, so middle of the night for you East Coasters. And here's what it looks like. Let's see. Yes, the moon forming a sextile to Mars here. So I bring this up because Sunday night you might get a late night burst of energy, or there could be some restlessness, or even like, okay, here are all the things I want to do the week ahead. And I could see you trying to lay down on a Sunday night and like having kind of this restlessness of needing to move your body, or just like, oh, I want to do this and I want to do this and I want to do this, but I know I need to rest, but the moon's in Aries and it's connecting with Mars and I just want to go, do right now. So just be aware you might be a little restless on Sunday night as we close out the weekend and we start the releasing phase of this full moon. Definitely missed the compliments. Run that part back. Look through the chat. Somebody else complimented you too. Yeah, I'll give you the flattery off the stream. We don't have time for that. I should do a video about all the witchy stuff, the moon rituals. Okay, noted, Nick. That's a great suggestion. Thank you. I personally find eclipses extra powerful because it's like a full moon cycle within that one night. Yes. Ooh, I've never thought of it like that. Absolutely. Very transformative. Very transformative eclipses are. So this full moon before eclipse season starts is a really great time to tap back into who am I, what am I here to do, and get clear on that, get clear on your motivations. So during eclipse season, that transformation can be even more powerful, I think. Yeah, it has an extra oomph. Darkness and light balance each other, always present, not to be feared. I love that view. Hi, goddess. Your ascendant is in Aries. Okay, well, we're going to go through each sign and you'll be first. So just one moment. Oh, I'm so glad this resonates. I pulled a card last night for the Mercury-Pluto trine and it said, energy flows where my intention goes. Beautiful. Absolutely. Very energy flows where my intention goes. We talked about slowing down, being intentional in the moments because we are going to have the energy during the full moon in Aries. That's not a concern. Okay, so let's talk about one more thing before I go through each sign. I just want to point this one thing out on the chart because the ruler of this full moon is Mars. And as we'll start talking about next week, Mars is coming into a square with Neptune, and it's going to be there for a little bit. So you see that dark red line? Mars and Neptune are squaring each other. So as much as I've said, like, get into your purpose and identify like what you're here to do, there might be some confusion around that. Give yourself grace, give yourself compassion, give other people compassion. And this square between Mars and Neptune just feels like the question that I keep asking in this live stream. What are you here to do? Who are you? And it might not be a clear-cut answer that you get right away. So just want to give you the caveat to be graceful with yourself and other people and keep asking the question until the answer becomes clearer and clearer. It might be this whole releasing cycle of the moon's phases that you're asking this question of yourself. What needs to be released in order for me to clarify what I'm here to do and be more aligned with what I'm here to do? But it's not, nothing in astrology is like one and done, instant moment of clarity. There are very few transits we talk about that are like, pay attention right now, you know, really just focus on yourself during the full moon in Aries. Ooh, and you have your Mars return right on the full moon. Beautiful, with Mars ruling this full moon. I love how we have all this Mars synchronicity that we've been talking about with Katie's husband, with you, Rachel, and just Mars in general squaring Neptune. It feels like this intuitive energy coming into, again, what are you here to do? What's your purpose? All right. Let's talk about what this full moon means for each sign. So it's going to be a quick little horoscope for each sign. We don't have time to get into everybody in depth, but I'll tell you what area of your chart the full moon will land. Remember to use your rising sign. If you don't know your rising sign, you can scan this QR code or look in the description down below. Get a free copy of your birth chart on my website. Just look for the ASC. You need to know your birth time to know your rising sign. And that's what I use to write all my horoscopes because it's a more accurate way to see what area of your life is being affected by the full moon. Now, if you don't know your rising sign and you found this video, that's okay too. Listen for the sign you know, or maybe if you have a lot of planets in one sign, listen for that sign. If it resonates, take it. If it doesn't, leave it. There's never pressure here. If you just tune in and you hear something and it resonates, that's probably for you too. Okay, so going through each sign quickly here, starting with our Aries risings, because this is your full moon. This is your time, okay? So if you're an Aries rising, remember to look at 16 degrees of Aries. If you're a little more advanced here, you'll know if 16 degrees Aries falls in one house or the other. So that's a way to get more specific about this. But for our Aries risings, this is your moment. This is your rebirth in a lot of ways because the full moon will be in your first house. And as much as we've been talking about everybody really leaning into their purpose and showing up and what they're here to do, for you Aries risings, that's even more amplified. So the question for you under this full moon is, who am I? What am I here to do? And there will be an element of confidence that comes back for you under this full moon, Aries risings, about showing up in your purpose and really taking the spotlight. Full permission to be a little extra and be in the spotlight under this full moon, my Aries risings. We're going to make our way backwards through the zodiac and forwards through the houses. So be patient with me here. Pisces risings. This full moon is in your second house, the house of values, of physical values. So money, your surroundings, your resources. And your physical environment as well. So this full moon in Aries does feel very physical for you in a lot of ways, Pisces risings. And if you're a Pisces rising, you're probably checked out of the physical quite a bit, but I think this is a really great time for you to ground into the 3D world, Pisces risings, and being really rooted in your values and what you're here to do and what's important to you, actually, rather than what you're here to do. Just like, what's important to me? What are my values? That's going to call in more physical abundance and more physically aligned things, whether that's money or resources or opportunities that will lead to more abundance. So really get grounded if you are a Pisces rising, and that could look very physical for you, like literally grounding into the earth, doing physical things and making physical connections with people, because it's easy for you to get kind of lost in the ethers. So come back to earth, Pisces risings, and you might be surprised by how much abundance and how much opportunity is waiting for you here in this realm. Aquarius risings. This full moon is landing in your 3rd house. So it's a really great time to spark up some conversations. The 3rd house is all about communication and about learning. And you might find that you get clearer on your purpose and what you're here to do and what you're healing through conversing with other people. If you're an Aquarius rising, you might not be the first person to spark up a conversation, but under this full moon, lean into your confidence, that fire, and be willing to start a conversation. Be willing to be a little more vulnerable with Chiron conjunct the full moon. Maybe share your own healing journey, and you might learn a thing or two from other people feeling safe in your energy to do the same. You know, sometimes it's helpful for us to share our healing modalities with each other because we don't have access to all the information in the world, right? So if you're an Aquarius rising, you're open to new perspectives, you tend to have an open mind, you just might not be the most forward in starting conversations. This is your sign, Aquarius risings, to have some conversations, find some enlightenment from others, and be open to learning new things. And there is healing to be found in those conversations. Capricorn risings. This full moon is in your 4th house of home, family, and foundations. So this is a really big opportunity for my Capricorn risings to do some inner child healing. Triggers could be coming up, and this, you know, every house we're talking about, Chiron has probably been in this house for you for a long time. And it feels especially important to say this for Capricorn risings because your inner child healing has probably had a lot to do with your family over the past really year or so with Chiron in your 4th house. So with the full moon here, it feels like this culmination moment, a realization of, okay, here's how much healing I've already done just by being aware of the patterns that were passed down to me, the beliefs that were passed down to me by the people who raised me, but also how can I heal more so I don't continue those patterns for the next generation? This feels like a big moment for you for generational healing, Capricorn risings. And it's not easy. It's not been an easy road for you at all. If you're a Capricorn rising, you've got Pluto in the 1st house. It's a lot. It's a lot for you. And this whole year has been pretty tough for Capricorn risings. But this full moon feels like a really powerful moment of healing when you realize that your inner child can be safe because you can also be your inner parent. You don't have to rely on the people who raised you to make you feel safe anymore. You can make that safe haven for yourself. Okay, Sagittarius risings. This full moon is in your 5th house of the inner child. You normally are fine having fun if you're a Sagittarius rising. I would say lean into that natural ability you have, but also maybe for you, I'm seeing for Sagittarius risings, your ability to go like be loud and be this, I don't want to say the center of attention, but be the party, right? That comes naturally, but is that fully allowing all of you to be expressed? For you, the healing might not be in the play. It might be in the deeper work of, am I masking something else by just being in party mode all the time, by just having fun all the time? So really getting intimate with yourself, Sagittarius risings, because Chiron is here too, and asking, how can I let the most authentic, true version of myself out to be expressed? And that might not always look fun. That might look like painting or taking some solo time to be creative and let emotions flow through in that way. What are you creating? Does it feel authentic to you? I think Sagittarius risings can get really caught up in the moment and in the spontaneity of it all and the adventure of it all, but can just be kind of wandering through life without a clear purpose. So coming back to your purpose, coming back to your inner child, and maybe taking some time to really nurture that inner child under this full moon so that you're not masking anything or dismissing anything when you are out in the world playing and being free. It's not a distraction. It's actually part of your fullest expression. And Scorpio risings. This full moon is in your 6th house. So if you're a Scorpio rising, this full moon is really a time that's illuminating your habits, your patterns, and potentially your self-destructive habits and patterns, with Chiron being here as well. Like, where do you want to have more accountability and clarity in your routine? And where are you just kind of not honoring that? You know, there is actually a lot of healing for you, Scorpio risings, to be found in the regimen, in the daily practices, in that commitment and that consistency that you have for yourself. So if you're a Scorpio rising, this full moon is a really beautiful time to illuminate your routine. Take a look at your routine, your habits. It doesn't have to even just be like your daily routine, but what are your go-to habits? With this moon opposing Venus, you know, what are your habits when it comes to food, when it comes to money? Are they really supporting your purpose and who you're here to be, or are they distracting you from who you're here to be? Similar to what I just said for Sagittarius risings, but it's more about the patterning that's been coming up for you, Scorpio risings. And there's a lot of healing to be found when you just take a moment to observe your patterning under this full moon. I want to take a break and check the chat here. Amora says, I've been in this space, a lot of releasing, deep inner work. And Amora, for you, you just had the full moon in your 12th house. You've been having all these 12th house transits. Now things are starting to come into your 1st house, with this full moon at least coming into your 1st house. And there's a lot of healing to be found in you just showing up, which is really beautiful. And I can't wait to see you tonight. Okay, moving on to our second 6 signs. Libra risings. This full moon is in your 7th house of relationships, an area that you are probably very familiar with as a Libra rising, because Libra rules the 7th house. And for you, relating to others comes naturally. This full moon is really illuminating how you relate to other people and maybe some woundings about how you're relating to other people. So are you being your truest self in relationships? That's the question to ask if you are a Libra rising. Are you honoring your full authentic self in relationships? And how much are you giving versus how much you're receiving? This full moon, it's your season, Libra risings. The sun's in your 1st house, the moon's in your 7th house. So this really just feels like an opportunity to assess the dynamic between yourself and others, and being honest with yourself about how much you're giving versus how much you're receiving can show you what needs to be healed, with Chiron in the mix as well. Okay, Virgo risings. This full moon is in our 8th house. The 8th house is the house of shadow, of mystery, of investment. And with Chiron in the 8th house, we've been doing a lot of deep healing, deep inner work that's been happening. For you, Virgo risings, my question is, who are you behind closed doors, and are you letting the world see that version of you? What are you hiding? What are you keeping from the world? I'm saying this and I'm like calling myself out right now, but Virgo risings, it's a really beautiful time with the full moon in Aries illuminating your shadows, shining light on your shadows, to be like, it's safe for me to come out of hiding. It's safe for me to be seen, and really illuminating the parts of us that we want to keep hidden and showing us. It's kind of going back to that analogy. The wound is the crack that the light comes in. So there's healing to be found in letting the parts of ourselves that we normally hide, that we don't want other people to see, be seen, come into the light, be illuminated. So it's okay if it's a little messy. It's okay if it's scary. It's probably supposed to be scary if you're a Virgo rising right now. But what are you hiding from? And what are you hiding from the world? Leo risings, this full moon is in is in your 9th house. And the 9th house is a fun house. It is the house of expansion, of long-term travel, of publishing, of higher learning. So Leo risings, for you, there could be a really expansive opportunity on the horizon that this full moon illuminates. We love that for you. Really a time to put yourself out there and be seen under this Aries full moon. Triggers and wounding can come up around that as well. It's kind of like what I was just saying about Virgo risings, but putting yourself out there and being seen can also bring up wounding. What will people think if I do this? How will I be received? You know, limiting beliefs could be coming up about how much you are ready or capable of expanding. We know, Leo risings, that you are an expansive magnetic human being. So if you find yourself stopping or feeling resistance towards that expansion, that's the wounding. That's the opportunity for healing that can come into play. So my Leo risings, go big under this Aries full moon. Find that inner fire that is probably already stoked within you. You know what I'm saying? And let it glow, let it expand, let it be as bright as it can be. And notice if you are trying to contain that expansion, because that's, again, where the healing comes in. Okay, Cancer risings. This full moon lands in your 10th house, Cancer risings, your house of career and long-term goals. And you might be feeling a lot of motivation around your career and long-term goals with the Aries full moon there. It's like illuminating, what do I want long-term? What do I want big picture? And giving you the motivation to start taking the steps towards it and go after it. Similar to what I just said for Leo risings. I love how the houses and the signs always build off of each other. But are you holding yourself back from that long-term goal? What's stopping you? What limiting beliefs, what fears, what wounds are stopping you from really believing in yourself and that you are capable of that big dream you have? So I would say for you, Cancer risings, this would be a beautiful full moon to write out your long-term goals. And a tip that I use and that I have found helpful is to write them as if they've already happened. You know, just as a really basic example that I'm sure a lot of people try to manifest, but I am a millionaire, saying it as if it's true, signaling to your brain, I have achieved these long-term goals already. So your body and your mind start working to achieve those long-term goals subconsciously. But also with Chiron here, it's important to notice when you write out that thing or speak that desire to the universe, what you want long-term, how does it feel in your body? Do you feel scared? Do you feel unworthy? There's the wound. There's what needs to be healed for you to fully be in alignment with those long-term goals. So dream big, speak it out to the universe with confidence. And if you're finding yourself not being confident about it, that's where the work lies. Gemini risings. This full moon's in your 11th house of community, networking, technology. This is a beautiful time to be around friends if you're a Gemini rising, something you love to do anyway, right? You love to chat with your friends and be in social environments. And this full moon is definitely supporting that. So really taking note of your friend group. It's going to illuminate your friend group in a lot of ways, or your network in a lot of ways. Are you showing up as your most authentic self in that group? That's maybe where some healing work can come into play for you. But also noticing if you're a Gemini rising, you're probably a natural shapeshifter. So how am I adapting to be part of this one group versus how I'm showing up in this other group? Is there something that I'm not fully expressing or letting myself be seen in this situation or this situation? Do I need to reassess like how I'm showing up or who I'm surrounding myself with in order to be my truest self, right? So your friends are probably going to be around you around this full moon. And I think it's a really beautiful opportunity to reflect on yourself and how am I showing up in these various friend groups, and am I being my truest self? Is there some healing to be done so I can show up as the best version of me? And last, but certainly not least, oh yes, Diane, so good for networking for you. Maybe you'll make some new friends tomorrow at your market. I love that. Taurus risings, this full moon is in your 12th house. Your time is coming, Taurus risings, although eclipses are coming for you as well. So healing is going to be huge for you under this full moon in Aries if you're a Taurus rising. And it might be really emotional for you. It might feel really sensitive for you if you're a Taurus rising. That's okay. Know that that's what you're supposed to be feeling right now. This is a really big moment of releasing for you. And the 12th house is all about endings, closure, and healing. And with Chiron likely in your 12th house right now and sitting in your 12th house for a long time probably, you've been doing a lot of healing work, a lot of deep healing work. This is the time to be in that healing if you're a Taurus rising and kind of just be in your own little chrysalis, go within, do the work, sit in it. It's not the most fun horoscope for you, I'm sorry. But the silver lining here is that really being in this moment where your wounds are illuminated, where your healing is illuminated, where you're shedding who you used to be can help you step into who you're meant to become in the next season. And if you're a Taurus rising, same with our Scorpio risings. I know Nick mentioned he's a Scorpio rising. This eclipse cycle that's coming up with the Scorpio new moon and the Taurus full moon, both of them eclipses, can make big shifts in your life, big transformations in your life. Specifically, the next full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus for my Taurus risings is going to be a huge opportunity for you to step into who you're meant to become. And it might feel like a big shift in who you are. So take this full moon, this cycle leading up to eclipse season, to really just release who you used to be, release the wounds, let it all flow away. Might be painful, might be a deep process, but that's okay. We all have to go through endings in order to embrace new beginnings. So your new beginning is coming, but this feels more like an ending of a full moon for you. And maybe an ending of wounding, an ending of triggers. Maybe you're getting triggered and feeling all these emotions so they can finally be released. So just to know if big feelings are coming up, they're trying to be released under this full moon for you, Taurus risings. Yes, Rachel, I just watched that video you sent me. Don't feel guilty for taking up space and taking what you need to grow. Full moon in the 7th house for you. Yes, for you, it's very much about that giving, receiving, like we talked about. Beautiful. So much gratitude to you too, Amora. Gemini rising over here too with Rose. Definitely feel like you're speaking directly to me. Beautiful. I love when that happens. And I love that this is really a culmination point for Diane and Rose. Like, you found a community of people here who support you too, and hopefully where you feel like you can be your authentic self. And sometimes it takes finding new communities of people to show us how we're not fully showing up in our current friend groups or our current communities, right? So I hope that you feel that way about this space. I know I love having you here, and so many of us in the chat love having you here. All right, that's what the full moon means for each sign. If you missed your sign, the full video will be posted on YouTube. And as I mentioned, I will add markers after we're done on the live stream here so you can easily come back to and find your horoscope. And I'll have written horoscopes published on Sunday on thespiritualjournalist.com as well. Wrapping up here, I want to come back to our affirmation of the day and really of the weekend. And it's a simple, I am healing. I am healing. We're always healing. We're always evolving. We're always growing. Literally in a physical sense, we're always healing. When we have a scratch or a bruise or a bump or a zit or whatever, our body is constantly working for us to heal. And our mind and our heart are doing the same. So just know that you are healing. When those triggers are coming up, they're there to accelerate your healing, to show you something maybe you're not seeing so you can better tend to your wounds. And healing, again, is not a destination. It's a journey. We're always healing. We're always evolving. We're always growing. Oh, good. I'm so happy you feel that way, Rose. Take up some space. You are part of the universe too. Yes. I love that for the Aries full moon. You are part of the universe. We talk about the universe and nature. We are part of it. I am nature. I am the universe. I am a star. I am all of the things I want to be. Take up some space. That was awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Nick. Okay, and we will end with our tarot pull. I'm just going to do one pull from the Spirit Animal Oracle. I've been on that Spirit Animal game lately, and we're just going to do one pull for the full moon. Thank you so much, Heather. I hope you have a glorious healing weekend as well. You know the drill. This is your final chance to share any insights, ask any questions. Let me know how the energy is feeling for you, what rituals you might be doing around this full moon. Maybe I will share my rituals on Sunday. I think I'm going to do a little group manifestation with some of my friends on Sunday. That's a really fun way to work with the full moon too. Remember, our ancestors used to gather on the full moons and connect with each other. And I don't think they were really trying to manifest too much because, you know, they were just like living with nature. We're so focused, at least here in America, on like, how are we getting more capitalism? How are we attaining more? How are we manifesting more? I think that's a good point too on this full moon. Instead of, you know, trying to manifest or call in more resources necessarily, with the full moon in Aries, the sign of the self, manifest the version of you that you want to become. Who do you want to be in 6 months? That's a really great place to start from with any full moon rituals. I'm going to another sound bath full moon work night. That is beautiful. I'm so excited for you. We're doing a sound bath tonight at Goddess Night Out with Amora, who was just in the chat, and I can't wait. Looking forward to it. Group manifestations. I'll just put this out there for all of us. We're all millionaires. Yes. I love that, Rose. We are all millionaires. We're just sharing our abundance with each other. I feel it. And there's power in writing it too. So feel free to share what you're calling in or what you're releasing as well. Remember, the full moon is a potent time of release too. So writing it really signifies to the universe that you are serious about it. I really hope I meet more people like this community. I really miss my friends and having people to hang out with. I think you will. I am envisioning you making a new friend at your full moon sound ceremony, sound bath, and we're all supporting you too. We're all your friends. I know we're not physically in person, but we still can hang out virtually. All right, here we go. If you're joining me live or if you're finding this video later, let's all just take a deep breath together. Here we go. Breathe in. And release. What do we need to know? Owl spirit. You see clearly now. I love this. I've never pulled the owl spirit card, but I have a feeling it has something to do with wisdom. The owl is literally wearing a crown. Love that. An owl in a crown might be the cutest thing ever. Okay, here's what it says. Owl spirit. You see clearly now. Owl spirit arrives to remind you that the wisdom within you is informed by your keen senses and the wisdom within the consciousness we all share. Even in the darkest night, the owl sees clearly and is guided by every sense it has, including the first sense of intuition. Right now, your sensitivities are turbocharged. Hello, Pisces moon. And you are receiving messages from all directions. Owl spirit reminds you to be wise and pay attention to what's between the lines, what is invisible to the naked eye, what cannot be heard with the ears, and what others may not be able to perceive. With all your senses aroused, you have much knowledge available to you. Clarity will come as you sit with all that you are sensing, allowing your intuition to guide you in understanding the whole and not just the parts. Let your wisdom arise and be your guide as you trust the acuity of all your senses. Intuition is real and can provide the clarity you need to understand your situation right now. Your relationships, your finances, your job, whatever it is, you can see the truth clearly now. Now, I did pull this in reverse, and the protection message, I won't read the whole thing, but it just says, are you feeling overwhelmed and overpowered by all that you are sensing? Are you highly sensitive right now and in information overload, feeling too much and taking in too much stimulation? The antidote for overwhelm is to become grounded and return to your safe nest so wisdom can offer you clarity and guide you on managing the flow. So I love that it kind of comes with two descriptions. And this really feels like a message about the Pisces moon conjunct Neptune tonight. We are sensing a lot right now, and there's a lot of information coming in that we can work with during the full moon, kind of showing us what is on our heart, what we're really feeling, how much of other people's energy we're feeling. The owl spirit is here to remind us that all of that is useful data and that we can trust our intuition. So trust yourself. Your intuition is part of yourself, and there's an inner knowing within you that really wants to be heard. And that can also be representative of Chiron too. You know, if your wounds are screaming really loudly, they want to be tended to. Trust your intuition. Your emotions are part of that. And anything else that wants to come through about owl spirit. Healing can come when we trust our intuition. So it's a practice, it's an evolution, it's part of each of our evolution, learning to trust our intuition more and more. But if you're feeling really sensitive right now under the Pisces moon, becoming full, just get grounded, take a pause, come back to the present moment and ask, what are these emotions showing me? Yeah, such a beautiful illustration, right? I love these cards. Spot on. Beautiful. All right, everybody. I got to get off of this live stream where it's going to be crazy. I mean, it's already really long, but that's okay. It's exactly how long it needs to be. I'm wishing you all so much magic and beauty under this full moon in Aries, and more importantly, so much healing and self-love. This is a beautiful time to lean into self-love. Remember that full moon opposing Venus is going to make us want to reach for it from everybody else, but you have all the love you need inside yourself. And know that I love you. This community loves you. We're all so grateful that you continue to show up and share your light in the chat and just your energy watching right now. It's a beautiful community that we're creating together, and we're so lucky to have you here. Have a beautiful weekend, Nick. Have a happy full moon, Rose. I will see you all right back here on Monday morning. We've got a fun week of transits to talk about. So in the meantime, tune into the beauty of this full moon, and I will see you when I see you. But until I see you next, stay curious. Thank you so much for joining us and aligning with the energy of the universe today. If you enjoyed this morning's episode of Transits Today, you can join our live astrology discussion every weekday morning right here wherever you're watching. And head to thespiritualjournalist.com to read your daily astrology forecast and browse the Spiritual Shop. The most fun way to help keep these forecasts free and support more content like this is to buy yourself a little something on our website. But if you're feeling extra generous, you can also buy me a coffee to fuel future live streams. Just tap the link in the description or head to buymeacoffee.com and search The Spiritual Journalist. And speaking of, you can also tune in to The Spiritual Journalist, our weekly live interview where we ask our guests questions about everything from crystals and manifestation to mental health and the environment. Those conversations stream live right here wherever you're watching now every Tuesday. I'm so grateful you found us here, and I can't wait for our next conversation.